Okay. Some of my favorite videos from the vinyl community are vinyl haul videos, when people show stuff that they purchased that week or that month, and I enjoy seeing what people are purchasing, what they're spending their money on. And that's what I'm going to do here. In December 2016, I purchased a turntable again, I think I had a turntable, you know, many years, before, but getting back into the hobby or getting back into collecting physical music, I wanted to buy a turntable. And in December, after I bought the turntable, I started adding all of the records that I was purchasing to Discogs. And on Discogs, you can sort your collection by date, by when you added stuff. And because of that, you can sort by stuff that you purchased by a certain month. So that's what this video is going to be. This is the first records that I purchased in December of 2016 after I purchased my turntable. So this is all of the records I bought in December. The first record I bought is one of my favorite records in my collection. It is the fourth album from the band Horizont, and it's Odyssey. This is a great record. It is a 70s style throwback kind of metal record that takes influences from, in their words, Wishbone Ash. I think Sir Lord Baltimore is a type of band that would remind you of the type of stuff that they're doing here. And there's also a band called Armageddon that is another 70s proto-metal band that I think these guys may have listened to. This is a great, great record. A lot of the bands that are doing this kind of revival stuff or, pulling from the 70s are doing a lot of Sabbath stuff or a lot of Sabbath worship. These guys aren't doing that. They're pulling from all these obscure 70s hard rock, heavy metal bands. And this is just a fantastic record. It's one of my favorite records in my collection. And I got it on purple vinyl. And it was the first record that I added to Discogs, one of the first that I purchased as soon as I bought my turntable. Love this record. The second record I purchased is the 12th studio album from Testament. It is Brotherhood of the Snake. This was a new release at the time that I was looking at records in December. I think this came out later in the year of 2016. I just have this on black. And this is the it's the 12th overall album of Testament, but it's the third one when Skolnick came back to the band. Alex Skolnick, the guitar player. He had left the band for a while, and he came back, and they did a few records together, and this is the third one. This isn't maybe not the best of those records, but it's still really, really good. I pull out and listen to this every once in a while. Another, a good thrash album from Testament from 2016 with Skolnick on guitar. And, Gene Hoglan and Steve DiGiorgio is on this record as well. The third record that I added to Discogs is the 10th studio album from Blind Guardian. This is Beyond the Red Mirror. This was kind of a return to a more heavier Blind Guardian. They had a few albums in between. The last couple of records that they had before this were a little bit more, had a lot of keyboards in it. Wasn't as heavy, I guess, guitar-wise. The guitar wasn't, it was just different. But this record was, a lot of people say it was more of a return to their, roots in a way. They're more heavier guitar-oriented stuff. Not as much keyboard generated, in the background songs. But anyway, really good record. This is, I guess, it's like kind of a sequel to Imaginations to the Other Side, lyric-wise. But still a really good Blind Guardian album. The Ninth Wave. This is just a great song. The first song on the record, really, really good. It just really kicks in, and like you really feel like Blind Guardian is kind of back on this record. And yeah, I think the previous records to this one, a couple of them were, maybe just a little disappointing, but this one's really, really, really good. And just have this on black. The next record that I bought on Discogs is the 11th studio album from Anthrax. This is For All Kings. This is probably, it really moved up in my rankings of Anthrax albums. It might be my favorite Anthrax album at this point because I keep coming back to it. I keep playing it still. Mine has the sleeve that came with it. And it wasn't, I think if you get it now, it doesn't have that. One of the newer represses of it. And it has a little foil on it. I think they kept the foil, but I'm not sure. Lyrics on the inside. These lyrics are so tiny and very hard to read on this record, but this record is fantastic. I got it in the blue, the electric blue, I think they call it. And this record is just so freaking good. It was the second album, I think it's the second album with Belladonna back on vocals, and they really kill it on this record. Every single song on this record is great. It's kind of a mix between State of Euphoria and Among the Living. It's kind of like almost a mix of those two records. It's the production value is not as raw, but the songs are really, really good. Fantastic record. Really moved up in my Anthrax rankings. This would be number 1 or 2, of all time. Definitely not like their, if you like their really early stuff, their heavier or thrashier days. This one may not be, it's not as much like that, but it definitely fits in the State of Euphoria era of the band, and really, really good stuff. Belladonna sounds great on this record. The next record I bought is the 6th solo album from Ishan, from ex-Emperor, or I don't know, maybe he's still working with Emperor, but this is his solo stuff, and I had heard a couple songs on this record when it came out, and there's a real eclectic mix of songs on this album, at least the way it sounds. The variety of the tracks, there's some heavy stuff, there's some black metal stuff, even a little bit, there's some like hard rock stuff on here. It's a real eclectic mix of songs, and it's a really interesting listen. The side D song is just kind of like a whole album side thing, but it's not that interesting. But the rest of the songs are pretty good, and this is the only album I have from him, but I would be interested in getting some of the other stuff, but this is the one that I have and I've listened to, and it's pretty good. It's not the best, but it's interesting. The next album, though, and I had a really good month in December. Like, this is another one of my favorite albums from a band. This is the 5th studio album from Volbeat. This is Outlaw Gentlemen and Shady Ladies. It's their, country or Western themed album. And it is so good. This record is is my favorite Volbeat record. It's the first one I got from them, and it is my favorite. Especially Room 24 featuring King Diamond. I love King Diamond, so I really, really appreciated that he sang with these guys. I'm not sure how these guys are from Denmark, which King is from Denmark as well. And yeah, I think he just became friends with them, and they've done stuff together. I toured and things like that, and this is just a fantastic record. If you're going to start with Volbeat, try to start here if you can, even if you're just going to stream it. This record is really, really, really good. I love this record. I can't say enough about it. Even the artwork is really cool from the gatefold. I have this just on black as well. And I got this on clearance at FYE at the time, like a few years after it came out. They had a bunch for some reason, and I just picked it up kind of because of that. I just was like, you know, fell out my collection. I had heard of Volbeat, but I didn't really listen, you know, hadn't really given them a shot. And this record just really, really impressed me. Really, really good record. Highly recommended. This next record is from Rocky Erickson. This is a reissue of his first solo album called The Evil One. And the reason that I purchased this record and got into Rocky Erickson was because of Ghost. Ghost did a cover of If You Have Ghosts, that song. And I was just interested in why they did that cover, you know, and I was like, oh, this, and I liked the Ghost version of the song. So I looked into Rocky Erickson and I started listening to his stuff, you know, streaming it. And I was super, super impressed. And this album is so freaking good. This, again, is one of my favorite albums in my collection. I've listened to this album so much, so many times, and every single song on here is a trip. It really is. I believe Rocky Erickson was diagnosed with a form of schizophrenia, and he was, you know, on medication and stuff like that. But, you know, the lyrics on these songs are crazy, crazy stuff. And only from Rocky Erickson's mind could these lyrics and these songs have been created, I think. You know, Two-Headed Dog, I Think of Demons, I Walked with a Zombie, Night of the Vampire is a great, great song. Cold Night for Alligators, amazing song. Creature with the Atomic Brain is probably one of my favorite songs just because it's like a little story of a sci-fi, like a 50s sci-fi movie or something. It is freaking amazing. If You Have Ghosts, of course, is a really good song. Bloody Hammer, so many great songs on this record. Rocky Erickson, if you're interested in him or if you have any 13th Floor Elevator stuff, this is really, really, really good. Really, really good record. Again, a favorite in my collection. Next record is the first used record that I picked up in December, and it's the fourth studio album from Uriah Heep, Demons and Wizards. This is a really good record from Uriah Heep, progenitor or proto heavy metal band, and the Hammond organ and Byron's vocals, amazing stuff. I was listening to interviews at the time with King Diamond, and he talked about how he was super influenced by the vocals on these albums, these Uriah Heep records, and it, you know, he was like, yeah, if this guy can do these falsettos, you know, I can do it, you know. And obviously King Diamond went a little bit further than Byron does, but it's still, I mean, this record is really fantastic. Just have it on black vinyl. And this has a unique gatefold system. I think it was a patent pending or something. You know, it has the lyrics and you're supposed to put the record on the inside here, which really just makes it annoying. I just slide it through the top, you know, when I put it in my sleeve. Anyway, fantastic record, Demon and Wizards from Uriah Heep. Really, really good album. I don't know that they have, I mean, especially these early records, these first 4 or 5 records are just all must-haves from Uriah Heep. They're just fantastic albums. And the next one is a record that my wife picked out when we were at the record store. She does not necessarily support my vinyl collection right now because I've gotten, you know, I have close to 2,000 records now, and it's I need to slow down, honestly. This is Fleetwood Mac Rumors. She picked this out. I had this record when I was a kid as well. It's a great record. I mean, what can you say about Fleetwood Mac Rumors that hasn't already been said? Every song on here was a hit, basically. And just have it on black. the original, you know, replication of the original labels. Great album. Stevie Nicks, beautiful voice. I love watching her sing stuff live back in the day, back in the late 70s, early 80s. She's just so magical, you know, of a singer and, a presence when she sings her songs and stuff. Really good stuff. Really like Stevie Nicks on this record, and everybody does a real good job. Perfect album almost, you know. Every song was a hit. Not much you can say about this album. Can't say anything negative for sure. The next record I picked up, it's crazy to me when I looked this up. This is the 12th studio album from Opeth. It's Sorceress. And this is obviously after they've changed their style from more death metal, death doom, I guess, roots, or progressive death metal, to just more progressive, even hard rock metal, you know. There are still some really heavy songs on here, though. You know, like Sorceress is just, I don't think they're ever not going to be able to play that song live. It just has that riff, that just riff is just so freaking good. Kicks off the album, and it's a really good record. There's a lot of different styles on here, you know, more slower stuff. And it's the prog rock era. Mikkel doesn't do I Got on Pink as well for it had the cancer awareness for pressing. You know, Michael Ackerfeld doesn't really do the death metal vocals anymore. I really wish he would come out with the next album or something where he would just kind of do a mix, you know, like do this style of music, throw in some death metal vocals, you know, make just a heavier record. There's a lot of slow songs on here. They're all really good though. It's a really good record. It's a different era for Opeth. You know, they're like two different, you know, bands, you know, once they came out with Heritage. And, you know, I can always go back and listen to that heavier stuff. I have pretty much everything from these guys, including the new one, which is, you know, more in this style. Still really good. A lot of catchy songs. Sometimes, like on the newer stuff, I have to listen to this more than a few times for it to really start clicking. But once the songs, I start remembering them, they're really good. And when they come on, I'm like, oh yeah, this song has some really good parts on it. So Opeth's still doing a great job. Saw them live. It was the first concert after COVID. I saw them with Mastodon. It was a great show. And they got a Mastodon record coming up. Opeth's 12th studio album, Sorceress, really good record. Next record I bought was a new release. It's, at the time in 2016, it was the 8th studio album from Slater Kinney, No Cities to Love. This is a band that I've been buying records pretty much from the beginning. I've been a fan of Slater for such a long time, since really the second record, Call the Doctor. I actually had the original pressing on vinyl back in the day, but I don't have that anymore. But I do have, I did buy the box set for these guys with all the new, you know, with the entire catalog before this point. Really good record, really good comeback record. This is like a 10-year hiatus, I think, from Slater Kinney, and they just kill it with this record. They did a real good job. It's maybe not their best record, but it's still really good. This one I have on black. And it has the triple gatefold. The girls in the band. And it's a great record. It's really good. Like I said, maybe not their best, but I still would recommend it. Some really good songs on here. Price tag is great. No anthems, Bury Our Friends. Really good songs. They've obviously changed their sound quite a bit now. From the record after this, I think the last two records, but they're still pretty good. This Mastodon's 5th studio album, The Hunter. This was the first album that I actually started listening to Mastodon on. Just kind of crazy because they've been around forever, but they just never click with me. And for some reason, you know, I just, you know, 5th album, a lot of people just super hyped it up. So I finally had to jump on and just take a listen and figure out what Mastodon was about. And yeah, really good stuff. Very melodic, but progressive as well. And I got this one on red. Just a really good record. This, I think a lot of people don't like this record as much as some of their other ones, and I think I agree with that, but I don't think it's a bad record. Probably the newer record is more, you know, the latest one is more bloated and stuff like that. You know, there's just a lot to digest on that album. You know, it's a double album and it's really full of songs. This record though is a kind of an easy listen. You know, there's some really good songs on here, and some songs that I really look forward to hearing when I play it. It's a good record. May not be their best one, but it was the first one for me. Got me into the band, and I went back and bought, you know, pretty much all their older stuff. I still haven't gotten the early stuff, you know, Remission and the Whale one. I haven't gotten those yet, but I kind of like the era of the band where, you know, they became more progressive, even more progressive, I guess I should say, and more melodic even, you know. I like a lot of those. I like the singles, you know. I do like the melodic stuff on these records. Good album for Mastodon. This one might be a little controversial to some people, but to me, I love this band. Babymetal. I've seen them live 3 times. These guys, like, I'm a sucker for pop music too. You know, I have a decent, not decent, but I have enough pop records that I do like pop music, and I did go through a phase where I was listening to a lot of J-pop bands, and in like the mid 90s, late 90s, and this is just so sweet, candy sweet, with the pop element, the J-pop element, and then just to have this backing band playing these brutal riffs and brutal breakdowns, and just, you know, the band is really good on this, and I think that's what makes it a little bit more special than like a you know, just a thing that shouldn't be taken seriously, because the musicianship on this album is really good, and to write these songs, to make them catchy and good, that's really hard to do. I mean, I don't know. Anybody who complains about this band, I mean, I guess the vocals are something that you have to get used to, because, you know, it's, you know, very high, you know, falsetto, female vocals, and I can understand if that is your complaint. But other than that, if you can get over that, this record is freaking awesome. All of the records are pretty good. Like, they're doing a lot of, like, it's such a variety of stuff on these albums, of styles. And this I got on red. And it's just such a fun record. I mean, I just love watching these guys live. They're just so much fun to watch. They're so, you know, exciting and, you know, positive. Really fun record. And like I said, I love the element of pop mixed in with this metal, and it just really connected with me, being, you know, being a fan of J-pop music and heavy metal. This was just perfect. I mean, if you are a fan of both of those genres and this came out, how could you not like it? Anyway, Babymetal, one of my favorite records in my collection. Again, December was a really good month of 2016. I picked up a lot of records that I still love to this day, and that are my favorites. Now, this one is the second studio album from a band called Ancients. This is Voice of the Void. This is a band that is, I guess, similar in style to like a Mastodon, or a Gojira or something like that. Really good, melodic. I think there's a mix of death metal and clean vocals on here. A lot of, maybe even more clean than death metal vocals. Really good record. Really interesting. I think I don't know if they have a new album or not. They do have an album before this that I just haven't purchased. I feel like this is the only one that I need right now, but if I hear something from them that, you know, in the future that's really good, I'll probably pick it up. This is a good record though, and I do pull it out every once in a while and play it when I get in the mood for these types of bands, you know, the Mastodon, the progressive metal, you know, type of bands like that, with the clean vocals and, you know, good melodic choruses on a lot of these songs. This is a good record. I probably should listen to it more. Anyway, it's a good record. Now, again, another one of my most favorite albums in my collection. This is Lucifer, Lucifer 1. And this is the first studio album from them, and Johanna Sadonis. did this record with one of the guitar players, Gary from Cathedral. What is his name? His last name? Gary Jennings. And man, I love the vocals on this. Her haunting vocals are so good. Now, this is what I was talking about Horizont, how they don't do Sabbath worship. Well, Lucifer doesn't shy away from it. They are definitely doing Sabbath worship here, but it is the best kind of Sabbath worship because it's just great songs. Every single song on here is fantastic. I have all the Lucifer albums. I still need the latest one. It's been really expensive. I have it on purple here. Another one of my favorite records. I was listening to this over and over and over again on streaming before I bought my turntable even, and I was really excited to find this, and I think I ordered it. I had to order it and got it through the mail. Really, really, really good record. One of my favorites in my collection. Lucifer became one of my favorite bands because of this record, and I saw them live in a small little club, and yeah, fantastic record. Pick this up if you like a lot of the Sabbath, 70s stuff of the newer bands that are making, that type of music. This is one of the better ones. And with the female vocals, I love a lot of bands. Female vocals is one of the things that I really enjoy, that kind of does what ASMR does to some people. It's just a thing that just really, I enjoy hearing that sound. So that's another reason why I like Babymetal. It's just something that I like. But her vocals are really, really good, and all the records that she's done so far have been really good. This is probably the best. A lot of times the first is the best, but this is one of my favorite albums in my collection. Lucifer 1. Fantastic. All right, here's the last record. And at the time, like I said, I was listening to Ghost and getting into Rocky Erickson because of Ghost. But soon after that, the new album from Ghost, Meliora, had come out. I had heard Circe, saw the video for that song, which is great. One of their best songs they ever wrote. And this is Meliora. This one has the EP with Square Hammer on it, and the some cover songs. Great album from Ghost. I have all their stuff pretty much now, except for the ironically, except for the You Have Ghosts EP. That's the only thing I'm missing right now. Great record from Ghost. Nothing really I can say bad about it, especially that it comes with the EP, because Square Hammer is such a great song. They were opening with that song after that EP came out, and I saw these guys 3 times live. I saw them open for Maiden, saw them by themselves twice. Really good stuff. Tobias Forge is touring arenas now, Early in interviews with him, that's what he wanted to do with this band, and he's doing it. I mean, the newer stuff is definitely more pop rock even, but, has a lot of pop sensibilities. It may not be pop rock, but it has those sensibilities to it. This is more of a darker record, but it's still melodic as hell. I mean, all these songs have sing-along moments to them, so if you like this record and you sing along to it, even though the newer stuff isn't as heavy and dark, you're going to be singing along to those songs after you hear them a few times. So I don't have really any complaints about Ghost, even the new stuff, and especially the old stuff. I guess I prefer the old stuff too, but I'm not averse to the newer stuff. Anyway, this is all the records that I purchased in December 2016, and I hope you have some of these are interesting to you, and they give you a little idea of what they sound like. Thanks. Bye.